Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Coming Out Stories from India series. Coming out is a term primarily used in the LGBT community when a queer person shares about their sexual orientation, usually with friends and family. Nicola and I decided to launch these coming out stories from India to ensure we all work together collectively in changing the narrative one story at a time. We aim to give the next generation positive stories, positive role models, and information that can help them make right and better choices. I'm Raga Olga D'silva, or Totally Out Now, as you know me. Interestingly, not all coming out stories are that of pain, humiliation, shame, and abuse. There are some stories that give us hope that the narrative is changing ever so slowly. When I learned about Winnie Chopra, our guest today, I wondered how it must feel to live your life as you are, freely. She accepted her sexuality as early as when she was 13 years old. And it made me feel and it made me think, does self acceptance play a role in how we live our truth, how we live our life? And does it therefore change the course of our lives? Winnie Chopra works as a head of demand generation at an IT firm. She and a partner started an initiative to share queer stories through the Gay Gays Bombay on Instagram during the lockdown last year. Now, let me welcome Winnie Chopra to Coming Out Stories from India. Winnie, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Raga. How are
Oh,
you?
thank you. All well. Thank you for joining us. And I know how busy you and your partner are these days.
Yes, it's the Pride month coming up, and it's like we are the most trending ones during that. So,
It's my favorite topic. I keep asking people, what happens to you guys? Do you forget that we are proud through the year or
exactly.
11
No, no,
months?
it's
Nothing happens. Yeah.
nothing. Just 1 month. We should be proud of ourselves.
Yeah. But I hope that that changes as well, Winnie. But Winnie,
Yes.
I love your name. I was just about to ask you, is Winnie
Yeah.
your full name or is it a shortened version of something?
No, so actually, it's Winnie Surinder Kumar Chopra. And interestingly, I get this question a lot because usually people think that we shorten our names so that it becomes more comfortable for us. But I'm not a Vinita. I am Winnie because I was born in Nigeria. So my father named me after Winnie Mandela.
Oh, how amazing. Oh, that's
Yeah,
your
yeah.
starting story, is it? So you were born in
Yes.
Nigeria. So how long have you been in India?
Actually, did my schooling there. I got that wrong. I was born in Bombay, but I moved to Nigeria like when I was in the second standard. So
Okay.
for 7 years, I was there in Lagos,
Okay.
and it was a very different experience. It's a
Okay.
completely different ball game, Africa.
Sure. Do you remember? Do you have recollection of that time?
Yeah, yeah, we do. We so usually we stayed in locked up houses, which were mostly like jails because there were a lot of armed robberies, especially targeting Indians and Americans.
Okay.
So we did have family gatherings with a lot of close family friends who are also all Indian families who were staying there. So that was a good thing. And so every weekend, all the Brown families used to meet up in someone's house and have like a house party. So I still have a lot of friends from there whom I'm in touch with. So I think that's
So
really amazing.
interesting. So you started your early life in actually in fear in a manner, isn't it? Like living
Yes,
around,
yes,
yeah, amidst fear.
yes,
And
yeah.
so now have you revisited now that you're back in India? Have you ever
No, no,
revisited?
no.
It's so do you see, I know I'm completely digressing, but do you see as a queer woman living in
Hmm.
Nigeria how life would be? So as compared to that, India
Uh,
is a freer country, isn't it?
yes, I sometimes feel blessed that I'm in India, no matter how regressive it is. But I've stayed in Nigeria, and their homophobia is so prevalent that you you can get killed for it. And I think that's a terrible life to live where you don't feel safe coming home. And I think that was a good decision that my father took, and we came back to India.
It's very interesting, like you're making me think about the lens we wear. If you look
Yes.
at life from different lenses, now you're comparing And I'm also, when I'm looking at you and talking to you, you said Nigeria, you said India, and I'm comparing, I'm wearing my lens and thinking,
Yes.
Winnie, you're in a much safer place. But we are also
Yes.
talking about India, which is it safe? I don't know yet. We'll talk about it more. But Nigeria, I believe, has a death penalty for gay people, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So you're
They've been
pleased
trying
that
to
you're in
fight
India?
it. Sorry?
You're pleased you're in India and not in Nigeria?
Yeah, yeah. That part I'm very pleased about. But I wish I was in London. I stayed there for 2 years. That's a much
Okay.
better life for us.
Yeah, certainly. You never know. Things might change. You might be here. Who knows?
Yes.
But Vinny, I
Yes.
want to. What really interested me about your story, and this is something that, because all through my life, at least the
Hmm.
life that I lived in the last 20 years as a queer woman, I've heard
Yeah.
stories of suffering, of humiliation, of being abused. I have been abused. I know many, 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 hundreds of thousands
Yes.
of stories like that, and it is so refreshing to have a story that, where one, you've accepted yourself at the age of 13, and then
Yeah.
two, you obviously haven't been through the dramas and the traumas, and maybe that's an assumption I'm making, we will discover soon,
Yeah.
we have had to deal with. So I want to know, how does it feel to live a life of freedom?
Uh, I think, yeah, Raga, like you rightly said, I've also been doing a lot of lives and talking to a lot of queer folks. And there's so much of pain in their coming out stories, not only to their families, but at work and everywhere else. And I always say that I'm very fortunate that I figured it out so young because I was never attracted to guys. I had a huge crush on my cheerleader because I was a part of the basketball team, and she was really pretty, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to be with this one. Forget the guys can be friends and that's it, nothing beyond that. And I just decided to go and tell my mom that there's this girl in school that I really like, and I think I like girls. And she very faintly just brushed it off, saying, yeah, you're 13, everyone likes girls, it's a phase. Till I started getting girls home at the age of 16. Then she realized, oh, this is serious. And
Interesting.
yeah, then she
I'll, I'll,
did the
I'll come to that.
entire, yeah,
I'm sorry, I'll come to that. I'll come back to that. I just want to know. I want to go back.
okay,
I want to go back because I'm not going to disclose your age, right?
yes,
But you come from a generation where
yeah,
information was not easily available on gay and
no,
queer communities in India.
no,
Google is
no,
very recent, right? So how
yes,
did you? Because my biggest problem is that I didn't have access to information, so therefore I couldn't even go and talk to anyone. I didn't know the word
yes,
queer or gay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
in your case, how did you know that you were a queer woman? Where was the information coming from to you?
Raga, honestly, I didn't know the word lesbian or gay till a very late age. I just knew that I liked girls, and I didn't have a term for it. The only term that I knew was homo because I had seen those in American movies. And apart from that, it was nothing. And I knew that it is something which is not acceptable. And at that age, it was like, this is just wrong. But fortunately, I have two older sisters and a younger sister. So I have three sisters who've been very, very supportive. And my older sisters were the one who told me that it's okay. It doesn't matter. And my father was always in denial. So that was another thing. It's like ignorance is bliss. And but he never threatened to get me married off or throw me out of the house or abuse me for it. So I
Okay,
think I was
so
very
I'm going to
lucky
come
that
back to
way.
that. I'm going to come back. So you're
Sure,
saying that
sure.
your family of four sisters, yeah. So
Yes,
that's a responsibility that the parents have towards the daughters in
yes,
India, as we know. As
yes,
you know, this the conversation is going to be heard by many people, not just in India
yes,
but around the world. So I
yes.
want to give them a little bit on an overview. That, and Winnie, I'm making again an assumption. Chopra is from Punjab. I'm assuming
Yes,
you're Punjabis, right? So from what I
Punjabis.
understand, I was married to one, that Punjabis are very traditional, conventional, and that the family honor is very important to
Yes,
to a
yes,
Punjabi family, and women, girls always are married off at a very young
yep,
age, and
yeah.
so tell me about your family background. So you
Okay,
said you spoke to your mother. Your mother thought it was a phase; it will pass. Your father
yeah,
was in denial. You said, and your sisters were very supportive. But tell me about the
yes.
environment that you grew up in.
So I think it was a very loving environment. And again, I'm very privileged and I'm fortunate that for a person from the community, the family was so accepting. And it was, my father was a very good father. He would like shower us with whatever we want and all the love and attention. And mom and I were the closest. I was the closest to my mom. And she was like a best friend to me. My sisters got married off when I was really young. So they got married off at 21, 22, and the youngest one at 23. So it was like just in a matter of years when my sisters were gone, the older ones. I grew up with my younger sister, and we have a very lovely bond. We party together, we talk about all sorts of things. And so, on and on, it's been a very loving family. But I did get pressure from my relatives when I would go for Indian weddings. You know how it is in India. And they would be like, so now you're next. What's going to happen? And earlier I used to just brush it off. Then I became a little cocky as I was growing up. So I started telling them that, Sood uncle's daughter is really hot. I think you should talk to her about me.
I love it. So, what was the
Yeah.
general reaction to you being the person that you were?
Usually it was shock and nothing after that. It was like pin drop silence. Like the entire room of aunties who are doing lady sangeet, and I've said this, and everything had just stopped for a second. And they're all
So,
looking at me.
did they gossip about you? Do you hear any, gossip always comes back to you, right?
Yes,
Rumors always
yes.
come back.
Oh.
So, did they gossip? And what was the kind of gossip? And really, did that impact you in any way, or you just kind of brushed it off? Who cares?
Uh, no, to be honest, earlier I used to get affected by it because usually the questions would be, क्या करना है इसको लड़के जैसे you can dress up like a boy, but you can't be a boy. And even if you're with a girl, what are you going to do with a girl? There's no future in it. You can't get married, you can't have kids. So, what are you planning to do with your life? And some of them have told me that I should get married to a gay man because it'll
So,
make life
that
easier
was
for
the
me.
solution for you. And why was that?
Yeah,
How would that help you?
because at least it'll be a man and a woman in a relationship, and then you can do whatever you want on the side.
Okay.
I'm like,
So,
wow.
so a Punjabi family that's very happy and very open and very accepting
Yeah,
of you, but the extended family decides to give you solution to a problem that they think you have.
is a problem.
So
Yes.
yeah, yeah, okay. So tell me, how did you present yourself? Like you said that pants, and
Yeah.
you said something. So you always presented yourself as like as you are. I don't know, wearing
Yeah.
pant and a top and shirt. That's what how you presented.
Always. I was always masculine presenting. So
Yeah.
for weddings, I would wear a proper tuxedo or a suit with a shirt and a tie or a bow tie, and sherwanis, the
Okay.
Indian traditional clothing.
Fantastic
Yeah.
that you basically knew who you were, you accepted who
Yes.
you were, and you presented yourself as who you thought was your identity.
Yes.
Brilliant. And to me, that
Thank
is
you.
breaking social norms in India, right? We
Yes.
come from
Yes.
such conventional, traditional backgrounds, and you said, I don't care. You were who you are. So now that is
Yeah.
what is very interesting to me. How does it feel? Because you are with a partner who had
Yes.
who had taken a long time to come to that point. So when you compare yourself to her or to others in the community,
Yes.
how do you
Yes.
think your time or your life is different?
I think the struggles for them have been more real because that self acceptance didn't come to them so easily. And they were scared of what the society around them would say. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I'm so confident. And when I walk into a room, I can talk to anyone. I don't have that little bit shame also of being a butch lesbian. I own it and I'm proud of it. And if someone tries to shame me for that, I make sure that I talk to them. I don't like shaming people. I've grown out of that stage. So when someone tells me something, I don't like pounce at them and tell them this is wrong and what you're doing is absolutely atrocious. I actually make a dialogue with them. I make it a safe space to come and tell me why is it bothering them? Why are they homophobic? Why do they think about us in a certain way?
And do
So
you
I
think
think
that it
that
really
is
changes the
Yeah,
narrative? Do you think people do listen and then they absorb it and accept it and change?
not every time, but most people do. At least they pretend to do. But
Okay,
that level of respect just comes in when you talk to them like you're also human and they're also human. Just because our sexualities are different doesn't mean that we have to disrespect each other.
correct. So your mom, the first time she thought when you were 13 that it was a phase, then 16 you started bringing girls home, you said. So did she go through
Yeah.
a transition, or did you need to ever sit with her and explain to her?
I actually had to sit down with her because she went on a hunger strike for like 3 days when she knew that, okay, this is not just happening in the background, this is real. And I was feeling very worried because I was very close to mom. So I went to my dad and asked him, what is happening? Have you spoken to her? And he's like, listen, don't worry. Once you sleep, she's eating at night. So just go and talk to her and things will be okay.
So, but did
So
your dad know what was the problem though? Did he know that
yeah,
you
yeah,
had
yeah.
come out? Okay, so he was aware.
Yes.
He was
He was
supporting you.
aware. Yeah, he was aware. His support was very like in the background. He didn't want to be in the forefront of it. So my dad and I started drinking together. And once we were having a really good night of both of us just having a drink. And his way of acceptance was, at least you won't be the daughter who's coming back pregnant home.
That's quite something for India, right? The fact that the
Yeah.
father sitting with the daughter and having a drink, that itself is an acknowledgement. And then the second part, what you just shared. But tell me then,
Yeah.
mom made it about herself, right? This is what typically happens in Indian
Yes.
families. I say the
Yes.
Nirupa Roy syndrome, you know.
Yes.
मेरे साथ ये क्यों हुआ मैंने क्या
Ah,
किया था why is this
exactly.
happening to me, what have I done wrong? So they make it all
Yes.
about them, right? Not
Yes.
realizing it is actually nothing to do with them, it is to do with the other person. So tell me about this hunger strike. I'm really interested in knowing how did she come around.
So on the fourth day, I went to her and I told her, listen, dad's already told me that you've been eating at night. So let's just like cut through this crap and have a meal together. And whatever questions you have, I'll answer them. And then she hired out the movie Boys Don't Cry for me. And she's
Wow.
like, yeah, she's like, you don't want to be like this one, right? I said, no, mom, I don't want to transition, but thank you so much that you're making a effort.
So did you Winnie, did you feel at any point
Yeah.
some kind of fear that if your mother didn't accept you, what would you do? Did you feel that at all?
Yes, of course. Of course I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I think I wouldn't have been the same if my mother wouldn't have accepted me. I wouldn't say that much about my father or my sisters, but my mom was the most important person in my life. And I think it would have really changed me as a person, probably. I wouldn't be who I am today if my mom would have not accepted me. And I feel really, really sad and very hurt by all the people who go through that because it's something that I can't even imagine. It's something that I've not gone through. But when people come and tell me how their parents have not accepted them and they've thrown them out of their houses, I think it's so much to take. So traumatic.
No, I agree with you because, and this is why I'm very interested in your story because I wish
Yeah.
that I had that life. And I always talk about unconditional love, right?
Yeah.
The one person who can give you unconditional love, who gives you, not just can, is
Yes.
your mother.
Yes.
It's
True.
an it's accepted. It's a
Yes.
privilege, and it's something that you
Yes.
know that you take for granted is the word I'm looking for.
You
You
do.
look, you don't even think your mother's ever going to do anything drastic to you or have a short 3 दिन खाना नहीं खाया, hunger strike for 3 days. But will
Yeah.
hold you and embrace you and say
Yes.
it's okay. In my case, that didn't happen either. I don't know whether you know my story. My mother nearly tried to
Yeah.
kill me when she heard. For her, it was
What?
yeah. It's a whole story around that. And I had little babies at that time. To her, it was better that I was not there causing shame and scandal in the
Mm,
family
mm,
and having to live this life, seeing her daughter being the person
yeah.
that she was. So there are lots of mothers I know, like you said, who do that, and it's very painful. And like I
Yeah.
said in my TEDx talk, I think when my mother tried to do that, that night I died. Because no matter after that,
Mm,
10 years later, she accepted me, but that night has never left me.
yeah.
Because that
I'm
one
so
night I didn't
sorry.
feel safe. No, but it's so I'm
Yeah.
That's why I'm very interested in your story, like how wonderful it was.
Yeah.
But I also think, Winnie, what
Yeah.
would have happened that night? 4 days later, your mother says, "No, I'm sorry, I'm not going to eat for the rest of
Mm,
my life. I'm going to be on hunger strike." How would
yeah.
you have reacted? And I know that these are suppositions and we are
Yeah.
thinking,
No.
what if? But I want to
Yeah.
understand because, see, nobody's journey is that free. I know
No.
that you speak as a free woman now, but
Yes.
nobody's journey is free. So I want to understand what did you go through in that time when no matter how much your father supported you, your mother is very important to
Yes.
you. What did
Yes.
you go through in that time within yourself thinking, Abhi kya hoga? Ab kya hoga? What will I do? And what would
Yeah.
you have done should she have been, you know,
Yeah.
unrelenting?
Yeah. I think I was going through a lot in those 3 days. I was blaming myself, obviously, that I'm putting my mother through that. And she loves me so much, and I shouldn't be doing this. And it's so difficult for me to say it also, but if after the fourth day also she wouldn't have accepted it, then I would have given in to whatever she needed because she was that important in my life. And I don't think I would have continued living a life that is causing her that much pain. So, yeah, I would have accepted fate and said, okay, I'll try my best and supposedly live a normal life. But yeah, I would have given in Raga. I don't think I would have tried to like say that stay in pain forever because of me.
See, this is interesting. I want the audience to listen to this. That we started off with Winnie and me describing Winnie's life as being free and
Yeah.
fantastic and saying how good. But even behind this, beyond this, there's a whole lot of pain that one goes through. So there's
Yeah.
nobody's life is without pain or questioning or giving in or compromising. That is the words I
Yes.
would use because
Yes.
people like us are prepared for the sake of our parents to give up our truth because we want our parents to be happy. And I want parents listening in understand this because I want parents to understand that perhaps the roles can be reversed where your child comes to you and you listen to them, communicate with them,
Yeah.
make them feel safe and say, it's okay, it's not about me. Let me see how I can offer support. Because truly, it is a very painful experience to go through this. And I'm glad, Winnie, your mother broke
Yeah.
her fast. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that you are allowed, given the permission to live the life that you decided to live.
Yes.
So
Yes.
now, did that change you as a person? Was that a transition that happened overnight? Did you become, when somebody gives you permission to do something, suddenly you're a different person. So
Yes.
did that happen to you?
Yeah, I had this sudden boost of confidence and self love and this thing that, oh my God, before that, I would not even look at myself in the mirror because I was so ashamed of being of a certain community, of being a lesbian. But after my mom and my parents accepted me, I had this sudden like urge of like, oh my God, I'm so good looking and I can get anything in life and I can achieve anything in life. So I think that changes you as a person. It just gives you so much of freedom to be yourself. And I think that's the best part.
So you feel that you lived up to your potential, or you started living up to your potential because you got the acceptance of people who
Yes.
loved you, right? I just dread to think
Yes.
because I know so many people whose parents don't accept them, and then
Yeah.
they live a life of just like because they're just
Yeah.
forced to live a certain life, right?
Yes.
I'm so
Yes.
pleased for you. So I want to know, did your friends, your close friends at that point,
Yeah.
did they know? Did they ever come and say, oh, you're so butch? I don't even know if the words existed at that time,
No.
or call
Yeah.
you names, the word
Yeah.
lesbian, for instance. It's so unique,
Yeah.
right? I didn't
Yeah.
know the word lesbian. I thought lesbians were like somebody,
I
some
know.
women. We don't because we didn't understand or what we saw in Bollywood or Hollywood. Sorry.
Yeah.
So tell me, did your close friends understand? Did they make it easy for you, or was there some difficulty or challenges there?
Actually, in school, I was a complete introvert, which is very difficult to believe. But I didn't have that self confidence to make friends. So my younger sister was 3 years younger than me. We were in the same school. She used to come and have lunch with me every day so that I don't feel alone. And I was bullied a lot in school. I was called a tomboy. I was called a eunuch. I
Oh,
was told to sit like a girl and walk like a girl and not play with the boys and be a part of the cheerleading team and not the basketball team. So yeah,
how did you
school
deal with
was
that? The school would be very hard at such a young age. How did you
Yeah.
deal with that?
Uh, Luckily, I was in Lagos, so we had counselors there.
Okay.
So I was taken into counseling because for a long time I didn't even go and tell my parents because I didn't want them to get worried. But my younger sister went and told my parents. Then my parents took me in for counseling, and the school had a talk with all the bullies and issued them a warning and called their parents.
Oh,
I
that's
can't
great.
imagine something like that happening in India, but I think because it was Lagos and it was an international school, so we had those privileges. But yeah, it left me scarred for a long time. It's
Sure.
yeah,
So did you at that point, because when you're very young and in school, you don't know, right,
yeah,
that you are
yeah,
these words or these terms given to us, the labels, none
yeah,
of us have that access.
yes.
So did you think there was something different about you? There's something, what a lot of people say, wrong with you, abnormal about you at that time when they were calling you names?
Yeah, of course I did, Raga, because all the other girls were interested in boys. They wanted to play with all the other girls at their houses of like house and all those. Basically, doing everything that is very, very taught to them in a certain way and which is normalized. And I would like to play on video games and with the army set and everything that boys used to like. So they couldn't understand that, and so I was always made fun of because of that, and that's why I didn't have any friends. Also, I would be busy on my video games and watch cartoons with my dad and stuff, and that was the whole thing. But yeah, I did come out of it quite later in life when I realized that it's not my fault if they're being idiots and they don't know
Yeah.
better.
So what age did you come back to India? How old were you?
uh, I was in the ninth standard, so that's 14.
14, yeah, 14.
Yeah,
Okay. I
yeah.
just interesting because the term lesbian, and then then within that term you use the word butch. When did you start understanding these terminologies?
These came very late to me in life. I think at the age of 20, 21, when I started doing my own reading a bit and I started watching movies. And there were different kinds of lesbians that I saw. And I could identify as butch. I saw them and they were like this powerful women who were dressed up in suits and like oozing confidence. And I'm like, this is me. This is definitely me.
So I'm going to ask you this question for the audience watching,
Sure.
because when you say lesbian and you say the
Yes.
word butch, and then you said that as a butch woman, you always
Yes.
like to do things that a man, preferences were
Hmm.
male, masculine, right?
Yeah.
Including
Yeah.
the way you dressed. And you said you
Yeah.
never liked the girl things. You always were called a tomboy. So I just want to
Yeah.
understand that, because is a butch, because I'm learning.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
is a butch different to a femme lesbian or a lesbian? Do you think
Yeah,
like a
they
man?
are actually. No, no, it's not thinking like a man actually. It's
Hmm.
masculine presenting. So I still think like a woman. I'm very much a woman. But I'm a butch woman. I'm masculine presenting. I like doing things that some men like. Most men also don't like video games nowadays and watch football. But yeah, but it's basically masculine presenting. A lot of people say that butch women are men, which is so not true because we are very happy being women. It's just that we present ourselves more in a masculine way.
Sure. No, because I'm just coming back to something that I have heard over the years, and I haven't had
Yeah.
a conversation with a butch woman before in that way. So,
Yeah.
like toys, like say, oh,
Yes.
dolls are for girls and, cars are for boys. So, does
Yeah.
that also present itself in your life as a butch woman? Do you have to make preferences? Do you have preferences like that?
Actually, I used to when I was younger. Now I'm more comfortable with myself. Actually, I'm most comfortable with myself at this point in life. And there was a time when I would not wear pink shirts or pink pants or anything to do with pink. Now I don't have any such issues. I can wear any color, and I'm very happy about it because
Yes.
I know my personality is going to be the same. That's not going to change with the color.
Brilliant, brilliant. So, do you think things are getting more non-binary now?
Not for me. I am very she, her are my pronouns, and I prefer it that way. I think I'm very old school, And for me to understand non-binary, honestly speaking, took a very long time. And I myself, I am from the community and I've misgendered people, but I do apologize immediately, and I make that effort. But I think I'm very happy with she and her.
Okay, brilliant. I'm going to actually give you an example of my own life, right? I
Yes,
remember
yes,
18, 20 years ago, and I was sharing this with someone else earlier today. 18, 20 years ago when I came out, and I was
yeah,
basically discovering myself. I didn't even really come out, but I would go into say a gay bar with the much
yeah,
longer hair. Kind of, this is lockdown times, with my typical nail polish, with jewelry. I used to wear a lot of jewelry, gold,
yeah,
lipstick. Walked into a gay bar, and I really used to get, even the gay community used
yeah.
to abuse in a way. They would say, "Oh, who are you? You're bi-curious," because they thought I was married with children. So one,
Yeah,
bi-curious.
yeah.
Two is they would completely box me into this femme lesbian, or that you don't
Mm,
belong here. So I just want to
yeah.
know, and as I was saying earlier, all the bitch women would just run towards me, thinking, "Oh, she's femme, so it's a perfect match."
Huh, yeah, yeah,
So so it has always left me thinking, is
yeah.
within our community, do we have these things that happen? And have you been a part of it as well?
Yeah, I think it happens a lot. And I always feel that this is the space where we should not be judging each other. And we've come together for a reason because the entire world is fighting with us. And we need to stick together. But unfortunately, that's not the case. It happens a lot in the community. In fact, there are more boxes in the community rather than outside in the world. So there's butch lesbian, there's stone lesbian, there's soft butch, there's femme lesbians, there are lipstick lesbians. I mean, it's endless. It's endless. And I feel that should change, but I don't see it happening very soon because some people are just like that and they like to basically bully people. And it has happened with me. It happened with me when people have told me that you're butch, so some of the things that you like in bed shouldn't be like that. I'm like, but that's my personal space. What I do in bed is totally my choice. How are you telling me what I need to do just because I identify as butch?
Do
So
you
yeah,
think
those
also,
things do come
Winnie?
up.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think this is one conversation that is very important to have, because I think the outside world doesn't have a view of our world either. We want
Yes.
the society to accept us, but I find
Yeah.
that a lot of us forget about accepting ourselves. We don't even accept each other.
No.
We are very judgmental. I stay away from the community. That is for one reason, because I don't. I think I've judged myself enough. I don't want to be judged. So that is
Exactly.
one. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then this continuous boxes, like you said, of labels that are given, labels, sub-labels, sub-labels, sub-labels.
Yes.
When will that
Yes.
end? That's why I hesitate also with this whole new talks, discovery, and conversations about pronouns. I know it is
Yes.
very respectful, but it never ends. The gender
Yes.
fluidity, pansexual, suddenly we've got these terminologies that I don't know whether I'm comfortable or uncomfortable. I just feel
Yeah.
that these create so many more sub boxes, and then people who want to be allies to us, we judge them. We will
Yes.
say, "Oh, they're ignorant because I'm also ignorant. I don't understand these boxes." So tell me, what is it that you believe we should do to
Hmm.
change this narrative as part of the community?
Uh, I think I don't know how these new terms keep coming up from, so I don't know who's this person. But I agree with you. I also get very confused, and I have only known LGBTQA plus. सीखने में कितना time लग गया यार? It took me so long to memorize that.
And it doesn't end, right? Plus, plus, plus. I
Yeah,
saw the other day. It's like,
yeah,
excuse me, how many pluses? Minus
exactly.
it now, you know?
Yeah, I think that's what we should do. Raga, we should have more conversations on this and say, reduce the boxes.
I agree with you. I agree. You know what is happening to us? I feel that because we are following whatever we
Yes.
think is the right thing, and so afraid to
Yeah.
speak out, because I say, if I say something which is wrong in the community,
Yeah.
a million people will start trolling me from within the community. So I
Yeah.
shut up and I put up with it.
Yeah.
But I think we
Yeah.
should start questioning these
Yes.
things as well.
We should.
Yeah,
We should.
I agree. So let's start it.
We should. And we're
Yeah,
both so old school and
yeah.
veterans. We
Yeah,
should make the change.
I agree with you. So I want to know
Yeah,
that if a feminine woman walked into a bar and you were standing there as a
yeah,
butch woman, would you make
yeah,
a? I know that you have a partner, but would you
yeah.
naturally go towards her because you think that person is ticks the box?
Actually, usually they just come to me. I don't have to go anywhere else.
I love it. Oh man, I wish I was in that room with you now. We could have tested that.
Yeah.
No, but
No, but
I love the
honestly,
confidence.
yeah, honestly, that happens a lot. And it's also a little embarrassing because sometimes when I go to the women's washroom, and especially at clubs, and they're so drunk that they just pounce on me. And I'm like, no consent, back off.
I
But
love that you brought this up.
yes,
Please, let's talk about this consent. In
yes,
our, thank you for bringing this up. Now, in our community, in the heterosexual world, it is very clear. And then when you cross the boundaries, it's
yes,
considered non-consensual, and it
yes,
can also be considered rape. In our
yeah,
community, I have
yes,
experienced this multiple times myself. People have zero boundaries. They will touch you, they will call you things, they will think that they are endearing. And
yes.
when you ask them to say no to them, they don't stop. They think
No.
chalta hai. Please talk to me about this. Please tell me about your views and how do we change this?
Uh, so this has personally happened with me, and quite a few times, not just once. And it recently happened last year when we had just moved into this house and we were having a housewarming party. And my ex therapist was here, and she came and abused that space with one of my very close friends. So I had to tell her that you have to stop, and but she didn't listen. And it went on throughout that night, and she just blamed it on the alcohol the next day. But I sent her a very stern and long message telling her that it was unacceptable. My house is a safe space. I will not allow anyone to come in and abuse my friends like that. And I also told her that I will never continue therapy with her. And and it became a huge thing, Raga, recently when her name came out in many different things. And I also contributed to it online because all of us were of the view that she should not continue therapy because people are going to you at your most vulnerable stage when you're in therapy. And if someone abuses that power, then I don't know how scarred you are for life. So I do
Hmm.
make it a point to talk and say that this is wrong and you cannot do this.
So I'm going to bring us back to your personal
Sure,
story and your journey. And
sure.
did you ever get confused, ever feel confused at
Yeah.
any point saying that, even amongst lesbians, we get confused, right? I
Yes.
get
Yes.
confused. And did you, like, at least for me, I remember people saying that who wears the pants in the house? Because
Yes.
both Nicola and I say, people judge you by
Yeah.
your hair also, no, in the community. That's so
Yes.
silly.
Of
Short
course.
hair,
Yeah.
butch hair, so the man in the relationship.
Hmm.
Long hair, feminine hair, to woman in the relationship. We confuse the hell out of the world,
Yeah.
Nicola and I.
Yeah.
They have no idea. They don't understand. But I want to know
That's
whether
good.
you went through that confusion and how do
Yeah.
you deal with when people ask these kind of questions to you?
Who wears the pants in the house?
Yeah, who wears the pants in the house? And if you are attracted to another woman who's got short hair, how do you deal with that? Array, how can it be possible?
Yeah. So I usually, when people ask me who wears the pants in the house, I say no one because we're two lesbians staying together, so we don't get time to wear pants. It's very intense. But yeah, earlier I used to be like, how does it matter? And this is not a hetero relationship. That's the whole point. We are both women in a relationship. It's not a man and a woman. Though I'm masculine presenting, I'm going to say this, but Gurleen is the bigger bully in this relationship.
Oh, we've got this recorded. But tell me, did you ever get hit on by a man
Oh
in this
yeah,
time?
yeah.
Yeah.
Once,
Okay. Okay.
and this was at a bar, and I was very surprised because men usually don't hit on me. And I was waiting for a friend who was a bit late, so I was standing by the bar by myself. And this guy comes up to me and tells me, "Can I buy you a drink?" I just looked at him like a very. I was taken aback. I was like, So I was like, no, I think I can afford my own drink. So, and then he didn't back down. He kept insisting on talking to me, and he's like, I was like, bro, listen, we play for the same side. I like women too. You also like women. So let's just end this conversation here. But he went on, and then the bartenders knew me, so they had to ask him to walk away and stop bothering me. But he was
Gosh.
so persistent.
So that's interesting, So that's a man for you, right? Sometimes that's what they
Yeah,
do. They think that
yeah,
anybody as feminine is, or a woman is available for them. But
yeah,
yeah, it's I think this is something. It's a world, at least I don't understand as much as I used to, because I stay away from this
yeah.
world now. But yeah, but I just want to talk to you about your current life.
Yes,
Okay. I know that now you're with a beautiful woman. You just took her name, Gurleen Arora, and
yes,
you have been together for a short while. I know, 1.5, two
yes.
years now.
1.5 year, yeah.
Yeah. And Gurleen identifies as herself as a bisexual woman, and she has been in a marriage, and she's going through the, time, transitioning time. And of course, she's in love with you. I
Yes,
just want to know, how does it make you feel to be with a woman who, one, has been married, is in the
yes.
process of transitioning, and how does it make you feel?
Uh, Honestly, Raga, it's been a roller coaster ride for me because I'm a very monogamous person. I've always been with one woman at one time. I can't have multiple relationships. So when I got to know about, I mean, she had told me from the beginning, but I didn't think we would get this serious. So when I had to deal with that entire thing, I was filled with insecurity, filled with it because I have been left so many times by so-called straight women who've left me and gotten married to a man that I was sure that this is not going to work out because she's already married. She already has that safety net. So why would she leave all that life, all that privilege that she has, and the entire society accepting her for who she is, even her family? Why would she leave all that and come to me? What am I offering that much that she would leave that entitled life of hers and live a difficult life with me? But it happened with a lot of therapy sessions and couple therapy sessions.
Wonderful. I just want to also go back again to that time when
Yeah,
you met Gurleen for the first time. So, can
yeah,
you describe to us how you met her and how
yeah.
did you feel?
Sure. So I met her on Tinder, and we started chatting the same day. And I was out with my friends in Bandra for a concert, and she was also supposed to come that side. So I told her to come over to my friend's place, which is very creepy, at 10:30 in the night, and she agreed. And yeah, and obviously then we sat up talking and chatting for so long. And in the morning when she left, she came back again. And I think our first date was 10 days long till she was
Oh,
in Bombay.
how lovely. But tell me, at that point when you met her on Tinder, did you know that
Yeah.
her background, that she was married and that she was, uh, you know, still
She told
available?
me, yeah, she told me before she met me. She had not mentioned it in her bio,
Mm.
but when we started chatting, that was one of the first things that she told me.
So you were
And I
aware.
felt that was, yes, yes. But
So,
at that
so
time, yeah, sorry.
no,
At
no,
that time,
sorry.
Raga, I was not looking to like settle down. I had just come out of a relationship and I was just like
Sure.
having fun.
Sure, sure. So that's what I was trying to get at,
Yeah,
Winnie,
yeah,
that without passing a judgment, of course, that at that
yes,
time you were in going through that phase, you already
yeah,
knew that you didn't want to go out with straight women because they always ended up marrying someone else, breaking your
yeah,
heart, which is
yeah,
really sad, which is something that happens a lot in India, as we know, because
yes,
these choices are not available to everybody, or people use this as a short time in their life and then they do what their parents ask them to do. So you meet,
exactly.
yeah, so you knew that this was a straight woman,
Yeah,
potentially would just walk away, but you
yeah.
decided, you chose to go on a date with her because it made you, time pass. I'm not going to use, I'm sorry, I'm using the word time pass, but
No, no, it's
all
okay.
of us have been through that phase.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
temporary, let's have fun while I'm having fun, right? And then it got
exactly.
serious. And
Yes,
then it got serious. And then it got serious and it got serious. So, how do you deal with that insecurity apart from therapy? Therapy is one, but
Yes.
how do you deal on a day to day basis with this insecurity?
I think it's constantly talking to yourself and rationalizing that she's here and not there, and she's with me and not with him. And she barely talks to him nowadays. It's only about their dogs and cats there or the house there. And it's a very like how two friends talk. And she makes sure that she takes the calls in front of me and has nothing to hide. So that she's made it very clear. She keeps everything very transparent. And the funniest part is recently he was going through a lot with his current girlfriend. And I had a conversation with him for 2 hours to calm him down.
Oh, how lovely. How beautiful.
Yeah.
So it makes
So
you
I think,
less insecure now, makes your
yes.
insecurity, because it is very valid. I understand it. And I'm sure
Yeah.
people listening in and watching this will also understand, two relationship, both of love, the
Yeah.
foundation is beautiful. And
Yes.
does it ever, do you ever feel the fear of losing? We all feel fear of losing our loved ones, but do you ever feel the
Yes.
fear, particularly in this instance?
Yeah, I mean, I felt it for all this time, Raga. I think since this month, and I have spoken to you about this, that I have been so insecure. But since this month, I think since last month, I have really calmed down. And I think talking to him normalizes everything. That fear that I have that she's going to go to him really calms me down talking to him because he's not the kind, he's a nice guy. I don't want to take that away from him. He's a really nice guy. And he's told me himself that there is nothing to fear and he has no intention of getting back with her. And they're just good friends now. And that will always remain. So that is something that I had to accept that he will always be a part of her life. But I
Great.
think I'm coming to terms with it now.
Excellent. I don't mean to bring this up, but I want to because I
Mm,
think there are lots of people wanting to understand because this is something I've been through as well. One is
yeah.
your acceptance of Goodleen and acceptance that you feel now calm. You've calmed yourself down.
Yeah.
There is the ex-husband, and you've made
Mm,
peace with that. I can see
yeah.
that, and it will happen. Over time, it will get
Yeah.
better and better. I promise you that.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's also
Yeah.
Goodleen has just come out. You're her
Yes.
first relationship. It's
Yeah.
the first taste, okay,
Yeah.
of a life
Yeah.
that she's always wanted to have. Do you ever
Yeah.
feel fear that now Goodly might find love somewhere else? Because is that anything that you fear at all? Ever go through your mind?
Uh, so here I'm going to be a
Obsessions.
little. I'm like I'm too confident about myself, and like I've told you, I always sing that song for any woman who leaves me. It's "Isme tera ghata, mera kuch
मेरा
nahi
कुछ नहीं
jata."
जाता.
So yeah, no, I don't feel like that. I feel
Okay,
that's not going to happen. Where are you going to
I,
get this?
I agree. I agree. I missed out. No, just teasing you. I'm very happy with mine, and I'm sorry I brought that up. I only brought that
No,
up
no.
because we have to understand that no matter what sexual orientation we have the
Yes.
same issues, same
Yeah.
insecurities, same kind of love and feelings for each other. That doesn't change just because we identify ourselves as lesbian or queer or gay or LGBTQIA plus plus plus. Our feelings don't change. We
Yeah.
are just this outwardly we are this. Inside we are
Yeah.
the same, right? That's what I want.
Exactly.
But tell me, do you ever, when you look back at your life, and now that you've
Hmm.
met Goodleen, and I see that you are going to have a very settled life, do you ever look
Yeah.
back and you think that would my life have been different if I'd followed what my parents wanted me to? Does
Hmm.
it ever cross your mind?
Uh, it has actually. When there are these really tough times that you're facing homophobia for nothing at all, like at work, and you can't quit because times are like this that it's difficult to get a job. So you have to bear with it every day. So I have thought about it that would it have been easier if I was straight? And would my life have been more like peaceful and not like this constant challenge and constant fight that I have?
So do you still
But
have that? But I thought you lived a free life. So do you still feel
No,
that you
no.
face challenges?
Yeah, I do face challenges. I still face challenges at work. I face challenges when now, fortunately, because of lockdown, we are not stepping out. But if I have to take the metro or if I have to use the women's washroom, I get stopped constantly because they think I'm a man. So
Really?
yeah, that happens a
Tell me about
lot in India.
tell me about your workplace. Then how what kind of challenges do you typically face at workplace? Did you I mean, do
Uh,
you have a policy there at your workplace where you worked or work?
yes. So we do have posh, which is at all
Okay.
workplaces now. But in my previous organization, my reporting manager was homophobic. And we used to go for sales calls together. So we were driving down to one of the clients' place. And he asked me something really stupid and awkward. And he's like, are you gay because something happened to you when you were a child? Is that why you're into women? And then he asked me that because you have three sisters and your mother dressed you up like a boy, is it that why because you're a lesbian? And I just looked at him and I just told him that I think your mom dropped you on your head a couple of times when you were a child, and that's why you're like this.
So ignorant. There are so many myths around this, right? That, oh, maybe
Yes.
you were sexually abused and therefore you don't
Yes.
like a man. Those things,
Yeah.
like you just said, this is, but tell me, at your workplace, they had
Yeah.
these policies in place, right? Could
Yes.
you go up
Yes.
to I mean, he's your manager, but could you go up higher than that and put in a complaint? Were
I
you
did.
able to do that? You
I
did.
did.
Okay.
I did. And he
And
was demoted also.
okay. And
Yeah.
the general workplace, how was it? Was it homophobic or were they accepting?
My colleagues were very accepting. Only my reporting manager was a problem. But I quit that place. I couldn't work with him after that. It was just too much for me. I was like, I can't
Sure.
deal with him on a daily basis.
For us, typically the biggest problem is, and sorry, I'm saying this to the audience. Most audience
Yeah.
people, for some reason, identify as from a certain
Yeah.
sexual orientation based on our outwardly look, right? So if I have
Yes.
long hair, when I had longer hair, nobody, even I had to come out every minute. I
Yes.
am gay.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't want this man to hit on me because I have a female
Hmm.
partner, right?
Yeah.
But you don't have to do that, right? Because you're saying that
No.
because you're masculine presenting, you have the
Yeah.
other problem. You have the
Yes.
opposite problem. You are
Yes.
constantly being told that you are gay and that you are not welcome in a certain
Yeah.
environment, like a female toilet. How do you deal with that, Winnie?
I just put my chest out, yeah. I'm like, I'm a woman.
But do you have to fight it? Like that's what I'm
Yeah.
not understanding. Huh?
Earlier I used to. Now I just take it in my stride and take it as a joke. And I make sure that I make fun of them, whoever's stopping me.
See, one
But
is
earlier,
responding. One
yes.
is reacting. That is different. That
Yes.
reacting, you feel
Yeah.
good. I've reacted. I've taken the power back. But one is
Yeah.
inside. That is what I'm
Yeah.
getting at. How do you feel
Yeah.
inside when you walk away from someone has pointed a finger at you, judged you,
Hmm.
and you
Yeah.
walk away? How do you feel inside you?
It doesn't feel good, Raga. It feels like when will people start accepting me for who I am and when will it's like fitting in. Why do I have to fit in? I am a human being, and from whatever I know, I'm a nice human being. I don't do bad intentionally to people. So why do I have to constantly prove myself? Why do I have to constantly say I'm a woman, I'm a lesbian, accept me for who I am? It has to stop somewhere. You get tired of it after a certain point in time. It's like
So
enough now.
yeah, exactly. So, what is it that you would want to share with the audience here? If there was
Yeah.
one message you wanted to give, what would that be?
I think that everyone who's listening in should listen to our stories, hear them out, and accept us for who we are. And if you're still facing problems with that, then talk to one of us. We are always here and we love to talk. And we are not one of those or few of those people who've made this thing that you can't come and talk to us. And we'll be shaming you or judging you for it. If you don't know something, ask us. We are more than happy to help you with that.
Fantastic. Do follow Winnie and Gurleen on the Gay Gays Bombay on Insta handles.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Yes.
have lots of conversations, interesting stories they share. Gurleen very regularly does her readings. I love what she does.
Yes.
I love what you do, Winnie. And you know, Winnie,
Thank
what
you.
I'm going to leave this, what this has left me with is that this person, beautiful human, beautiful soul, has a great story to share, always looking at the bright side. But remember, even
Yeah.
behind this, there is a
Yes.
whole lot of judgment and shame that she gets put through. Let's not do that. Let's accept each one of us for who we are. And that is the key message today.
Yes.
Winnie Chopra, thank you very much for your
Thank
time
you,
today.
Raga.
And
Thank you.
let me thank Nicola, who's sitting in the background and
Yes.
offering us support. Thanks, Nicola. I
Thanks,
hope
Nicola.
I hope this has helped our audience. Do write into us at theviewsroom@gmail.com. Thank you for joining in. I can be reached on YouTube. Do subscribe to Raga Olga D'silva. Do follow me on my handles at Totally Out Now. I am totally out now. And remember, closets are for clothes, not to hide your truth. Signing out at Totally Out Now. You're watching today with Totally Out Now, presented by The Views Room. Winnie, thank you so much. Lots of love to you
Thank
and
you.
good evening.
To you too.